All right, let's talk about the Mountain State. In this explainer, we're going to break down everything you need to know about charitable solicitation registration in West Virginia.
Just so you know, this explainer is part of our multi-state fundraising compliance series, where we cover these kinds of topics in practical terms for nonprofit leaders. It's all brought to you by our friends at Ironwood Registrations.
So, are you fundraising in West Virginia? Or maybe just thinking about it? If so, this is for you. The state has some really specific rules, and you're going to want to pay close attention.
Okay, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. You have to register before you solicit. Before you ask for a single dollar. This isn't something you can just go back and fix later. It's all about being proactive.
So let's get into the specifics of West Virginia's registration rules. First up, who needs to register and why? Well, all of this is handled by the West Virginia Secretary of State, specifically their Charities Division. They're the ones keeping an eye on things.
So who exactly has to register? Well, it's pretty broad. Of course, if your nonprofit is physically located in West Virginia and you're fundraising, yep, you have to register. But, and this is the crucial part for so many of you, this also applies to any organization that's out of state but asks West Virginia residents for donations. Think about it. That means your website, your email campaigns, social media, if it can reach a donor in West Virginia, you're on the hook.
And you might be asking, what exactly counts as solicitation? Well, it's basically any way you ask for money. We're talking about that Donate Now button on your website, for sure, but also email blasts, social media campaigns, direct mail, phone calls, even in-person fundraising events. If you're putting the ask out there, you're soliciting.
Okay, so now you know you need to register. What's next? Let's walk through the initial filing process step by step. The good news is, it's pretty straightforward once you get all your ducks in a row.
Really, it just boils down to 4 main steps. First, gather up all the required documents. Second, fill out the application, and you can do that online or mail it in. Third, pay the filing fee. And finally, get it signed by an authorized person and send it off.
So what kind of paperwork are we talking about? You know, the usual suspects for the most part. You're going to need your IRS determination letter. That's the one that proves you're a tax-exempt organization. You'll also need your most recent IRS Form 990. A current list of your officers and directors. And if you're working with any professional fundraisers, you'll need disclosures for them too.
And the filing fee? It's actually really simple in West Virginia. It's all based on how much you bring in each year. If your annual contributions are under $1 million, the fee is just $15. If you're bringing in $1 million or more, it's $50. Pretty reasonable, right? All right, getting registered is a huge first step, but it's not a one-and-done kind of deal. To keep your fundraising legal, you've got to stay compliant year after year. So now, let's talk about renewals and deadlines.
And this is where West Virginia is a little different, so listen up. Most states tie your renewal deadline to your fiscal year end. West Virginia? Nope, they use an anniversary-based system. That means your renewal is due every single year on the anniversary of your initial registration date. You absolutely have to track this specific date. It's like a compliance birthday for your organization.
And trust me, you do not want to miss that deadline. If you file late, they'll hit you with a $25 late fee for every single month you're overdue. That can add up fast, and it's so easy to avoid if you just have a good calendar system in place.
Okay, let's move on and talk a little more about the financials. Specifically, what kind of financial reporting you need to do, and also some of the special cases where you might be exempt from registering at all.
So besides your Form 990, West Virginia might require a little more from you, depending on your contribution levels. If your organization brings in between $200,000 and $500,000 a year, you're going to need a CPA review. And if you're over that $500,000 mark, you'll need to submit full-on audited financial statements.
Now let's talk about exemptions. And this is another one of those super critical points for West Virginia. Even if you think your organization qualifies for an exemption, it is not automatic. You can't just decide you're exempt and skip the whole process.
What you have to do is submit a written request to the Secretary of State, and they will tell you if you qualify.
So what are some of the common exemptions? Well, there are ones for smaller organizations raising less than $50,000 a year, as long as they don't use a professional fundraiser. Also, certain religious and educational institutions, hospitals, and membership organizations that are only asking their own members for money.
And here is a really unique West Virginia rule that you have to know. When you're calculating if you're under that $50,000 threshold for an exemption, you have to include government and foundation grants in your total. Now, that's a huge difference from a lot of other states where grants don't count towards that number. It means an organization that's exempt somewhere else might actually need to register in West Virginia. A real gotcha if you're not careful.
Whew, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? So let's wrap this up by boiling it all down to the most important compliance takeaways. These are the things you absolutely have to remember for West Virginia.
So let's recap West Virginia's unique rules. Number 1, register before you solicit any funds. I can't say that enough. Number 2, renewals are based on your registration anniversary date. Put it on your calendar. Number 3, exemptions aren't automatic. You have to request them and get them approved in writing. And number 4, it doesn't matter where you're located. If you're asking West Virginia residents for donations, you have to register.
At the end of the day, West Virginia's rules are all about transparency and protecting donors. If your team needs a hand managing all these state-by-state requirements, the folks at Ironwood Registration specialize in this stuff. You can learn more over at their website. And that brings us to a final question for you to think about. We've just seen how West Virginia's anniversary deadline is different from most other states. So take a look at your own systems. Is your organization's compliance calendar really built to handle these kinds of state-by-state differences? It's a really important question for any nonprofit that's looking to grow.